Hey, it's Greg Harrelson here with the Level Up podcast coming at you with another great episode. I'm very fortunate with the podcast to, be able to, talk with friends and great business people around the country and in the real estate industry. And today I've got a great friend and a great business owner, owns a company out of Atlanta area. Cummings, Georgia, I think is where exactly it is, but in the Atlanta area. And the company's name is Century 21 Results Realty. And this is my good friend, Terry Swanson. We're going to have a great conversation today. So say, hey, Terry.
Hello. How's everybody doing out there?
Hey, man. Hey, tell everybody where exactly you are. I mean, Atlanta to me is like you're in Atlanta, but I think if you live in Atlanta, you probably describe it a little bit different.
Well, we would describe it kind of as North Atlanta, but it is Cumming, Georgia. I just don't like saying that because people don't really know where that is, but it's about half hour outside the city proper.
Okay, got it. Half hour. Yeah, so it's right at the city then. Yeah. A half hour, everything's a half hour from downtown, if not more.
That is right.
So I want to talk about with you, and I know a lot about your background. Of course, I'm probably going to learn much more, but I want to talk to you about here. I wrote down a topic here is delivering value to a team or a brokerage. Now, you're a brokerage, okay? Let's not deny that. But at the same token, you're so involved. I look at your brokerage as it's this great team-like environment with a bunch of independent contractors building businesses, but you seem to have a lot of influence on their building of the business because of the resources and systems that you provide. And we're kind of in this industry right now where there's a lot of chatter all over the internet, and I see it on Facebook all the time about how brokerages are dead and everything's about teams. And look, I'm pro team, I'm pro brokerage. Bottom line is I'm pro business. Okay, but what I'm thoroughly impressed about your operation, and we've talked about your operation and my operation together, masterminding for the last couple of years, but I'm always impressed with the type of value you deliver. Like a lot of where everyone's thinking that their value is, I got to buy Zillow leads and give them to my agent so my agents don't leave me. Yes, you may have Zillow leads and other leads, but you're doing so much more. So let's just open up the dialogue here and say, what are some of the things that you're doing that adds value to the people that fall under your umbrella, whether it's a brokerage or a team? What are some of the things that you're doing?
Well, let's look at the Zillow leads, for instance, and look at leads overall. I don't look at leads as something that I go, oh, I'm going to give these to hang on to agents. I look at that and go, what can I spend and what can I do to try and build a better mousetrap for business that I can turn, and from the money we spend and the things that we do, I can turn into things that work. I can turn to a top producing agent or a team that wants to invest in those type of avenues. And I can say, hey guys, here's the deal. We've already been doing that. Here's what's worked for us and here's what doesn't. So then they can learn from our mistakes, and we share openly with everybody that wants it exactly what we're doing and how it makes us unique, and then we can share the numbers with them. So that right there is a good opportunity to say, hey, here's how I think of those differently. I don't ever look at leads to go, I want to keep agents on board. Our agents that are on our teams that focus on leads, they got to earn that right. So we're going to help them in every single business point that they do by leveraging better systems and putting more money in behind them. And that's how I look at us winning in the lead system. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And here's something I wrote down, and I don't think this has come out in a conversation I've had about this topic, but what I heard you say, and I think this is what I heard, or at least this is what I experienced, is that one of the values that you bring, let's just say in the form of Zillow or leads, or I think this will apply to anything, is one of the values is you're their R&D department. Like you're your agent's research and development department, where you're taking risk out here, and you're probably succeeding at some of them. You're probably failing at some of them, but you're proving concepts. Then you're bringing them to the agents so they don't have to experience all the lossages that we all suffer, while we're doing all this experimentation. Yes. But that's what I heard you say, and I think that's fantastic. R&D department.
You kind of packaged it up. I love that. I've never referred to myself as R&D, but that's really what it is. And I look and go, my job is to help their jobs and their businesses be more successful by being a part of us. And if we go share with the things that are working, how many more deals can we get to the table as a company if we have agents missing out on having to go through all the crap that, you know, Greg, as you've been doing things, you've made mistakes out there, and it's like, how valuable do you become to people to say, hey, look, I've been through that, don't do that, and I'll show you why. Here's the numbers we got out of that, and it just doesn't make sense to do it. But
Yeah.
this system does work, and then I love it. We are the R&D department.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I look at it and I'm thinking, okay, if I'm an agent under your under your umbrella, I'm thinking, wow. Even though this is from an agent's perspective, I bet a lot of agents don't actually see it this way. Not that they wouldn't, it's just that it hasn't dawned on them. But the amount of money that you save by failing on your dollar saves me a lot of money, and it saves me a lot of time. So, you know, I think at some point as owners and as team leaders, you have to look at it and say, well, if we're going to be an R&D department, how do we remain profitable? And maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, you know, before we get off the podcast. But again, I think it's a great thing that I want the listeners to hear, that one of the things Terry's done is he's created more of an R&D department type of environment where he can go out and test, and then he only pushes the things that are successful down to the agents to save them time and to save them from losing money. You know, what else are you doing? Because, I mean, you do all kinds of cool stuff, Terry. I mean, I used to pick on you about the champagne closings, right? And
yes, you did.
Yes, I did. And you know, the reality is you just created a heck of an experience for your agents, the other agents involved in transactions with you, as well as all of the clients on both sides of the transaction. Can you talk to us a little bit more about your closing experience, what you do with that?
Yeah, so, you know, we are in the title business now here in Georgia, and every state operates differently, but we want to get in there and control the experience because, you know, as a listing agent or a selling agent, I would go out there and have closings, and man, I tell you what, that is the finishing touch of everything you've worked your butt off for. And you'd go into some of these closings and they were just about, you'd rather watch paste dry on a wall than to go to that closing. And they all had the same thing, the little chocolates sitting in the middle. And so I looked around and said, we want to be able to control that experience. And maybe not every one of my agents wants to be a part of that, and that's fine. I wanted to create something that the agents would want to come into the office and bring their clients in. So we used to have an attorney that's no longer in the business today, but they used to do champagne closings and nobody else was doing it. So I'm like, why don't we take that back and let's go deliver champagne closings and create an environment that's uplifting and a celebration of the transaction versus just, here we are, we're going to do the paperwork and then we're all going to go on our way. And then you're waiting on checks. So it's like, we want to make it uplifting. We want to have the candy right. We want to have the agents with their packaged up paperwork folders and all that stuff. So it takes some of the guesswork out. But the presentation when you walk into our office is all about the consumer. And hopefully at the end of that closing, they walk out going, wow, that was a great experience, and helps that agent be elevated in their mind to be able to get a referral from those people later on in their business. So it's another touch point. And so we have big signs in the door when you walk in for the buyers and the sellers. They're up on the wall. Our front end office manager kind of controls that experience, walks them through. And then when all the paperwork is ready to be signed, myself or one of my managers will walk in with a silver tray of champagne fluted glasses and offer everybody a toast to the closing. And it creates a whole different memorable experience. Our agents love it, not just because of the champagne, but because it's one of the managers coming in and having some fun with them in there. Did you ever have Farrell's? Do you remember Farrell's ice cream when you were growing up?
I do, yes.
So they celebrated the birthdays and stuff, and they'd have the sirens come out. So every now and then when I go into one, I'll come in there and do a little Farrell's siren, come in and have some fun and just cut up with them. And it tends to, if there's a tense closing in there, sure does cut the ice and make it a lot more doable and plausible to get on through the stuff. So yeah, we like having fun.
So you know me, I'm like all business, right? That's Greg Harrelson, right? It's like, okay, business. Let's do transaction. Let's do this number and whatnot. When you and I first talked about this, I'm like, this is like, you know, it's like, Terry, what the heck are you doing? You know, now I'm proud to say I got a friend who's focusing on, like, you know, creating these amazing experiences. I don't speak of it as much as champagne closings now. I speak of you in the more of like creating this amazing experience, right? So let's go back though. Let's go back for a minute. Pre-adoption of that strategy. Tell me again, what were you thinking? I know that the closings were real dry, but like when you did this, what did you think the ultimate target or result was going to be, and have you hit that target? Like what are you accomplishing with creating this experience?
I want to have my agents feel like they got the best damn closing that they can get in the business. I'll go to my producers that close with us and say, what else could we do? I'm always looking for ways we can improve what we're already doing. And what we're doing is better than most out there. So I was at a closing for an agent one time, and they had a round silver tray, and they had Voss water. You know, Voss is considered high-end water. We used to serve the damn Walmart water. And when I saw that, I took a picture of it, sent it over to my office manager, and said, get this on our table tomorrow. By God, the next day she had that round silver tray on there. But I'm always looking for what is a touch that can help us make that better. And it's delivering those memorable experiences. I look at it today, Greg, we were talking about, you know, what is a brokerage today? And I look at it and go, I don't want any consumer to look at my office and think that we're a real estate brokerage. I would rather them look at my office and go, that's a real estate experience center. Anything that a consumer or an agent touches in a transaction, I want to get in there and make it a great experience so that our agents have a better product than they'd ever create on their own. And if they want to add something to what we're doing as a company, they can bring it to me and say, I think you ought to do this differently. And we are very open because it's all about delivering the best experience all the way through. So we look through our office and we go, what does an agent touch in here? How do we make that section better? As a consumer, what are the things that they look at the back? Right behind me, I'm in my marketing room. We got flyers up there because we want agents to come in here and sit down with our marketing department and pick the flyer that they want to do and help them with their branding, and go out there and create a 4-page or a 2-page or a single-page brochure that has their branding and their style on it so that the consumer wins in the end, but then the agent's getting their branding experience in the process. And yes, that cost me a lot. We added that staff person, the marketing coordinator, to our position about 1.5 years ago. But what I realized is how many more listings can my agents get by having a better marketing campaign? How many more deals can we get closed by leveraging that out there? How many more agents can come into this office and have a better business performance? And so it all relates to getting more deals done, having more agents in here, and having the consumer win in the end by having a better campaign. It's everything that I think of all the time. So that real estate experience center is in every single component. It's the title, it's the mortgage, it's staging in here in our office now, which we're just doing that. It's everything together. And my mind does not stop thinking about how can I serve our agents and the client at each point of the real estate transaction. That's my goal.
Wow. Yeah. So real estate experience center. So instead of being a real estate office, what you're saying is you're a real estate experience center. That's fantastic. So obviously you really see your agents as your clients. And we understand buyers and sellers are critical. And yes, we understand that there are clients too, but technically they're the clients of our agents. But I think all of these things are being set up because you value the relationship that you have with your agent so much. You're constantly looking at ways to better. I mean, it's great that, so if I'm an agent at your office, I come in and there's all these examples of marketing materials, and I could say, hey, I need one of these for my new listing on XYZ Street. Is that kind of how that works?
Yep.
Wow. Okay,
yeah,
good.
The other thing is, if you're a top producer, let's say that you're, whatever realm it is, we have a top producer area in here and a level of service. So I look at it this way and go, if you haven't made $75,000 in income in a 12-month rolling period, then you need to get with our coaching program and let's focus on the scripts and getting you better at the dialogue to get more conversions up. But once you've hit that $75,000 to $100,000 gross commission window, your kind of game's getting at a different level. And by adding on different components, you can increase your productivity 10 to 15% by offering that type stuff behind me, by offering a little marketing perspective. But until you're there, you really need to be focused on our coaching platform to get you at or above that point. And that's the way that we've kind of broken things down, is to serve the different agents at different levels of production and help them through their business experience all the way through.
So what about your mega agents, your top agents? What, in our world, in the Century 21 ecosystem, we're talking about centurions and double centurions and grand centurions. What do you do with like that group? So I get it, like somebody's, making a certain amount or less, you've got coaching programs for them. So what about those that, and the closing experience is probably for no matter what your production level, that's based on a closing.
Absolutely.
So what about your larger agents, your more productive agents? What are some of the values or experiences you're creating for them?
So the productive agents, I work with them one-on-one. If they want to grow teams and stuff, they'll work directly with me. And we really get into the business. It's not so much, hey, let's look at what you're saying each day. It's business strategies and how can we incorporate the different things or resources we have in here as a company to help you in your business. And that's kind of the different level that we go to with them. It's really business strategies and solutions, helping them understand. We have iBuyers all over the place here in Atlanta. I think there's like 6 different iBuyer solutions and stuff. We went out and packaged that stuff up so our agents can go out there and instead of fighting it, we packaged it up as a company and said, we work with 3 of these iBuyers. Now let's go out there and win, as opposed to bitching and moaning about them or trying to compete against them. Let's go out there and leverage them to get more business. And that's the type of packaging that we will do, and then help our top producers use that they want to come up with on their own. But that's the type of stuff that they get from us, right?
Yeah.
And so we go out there and create magazines. If we go, hey, what else can we do? We've got enhancement funding for people if they can't afford to do it. But you got to be able to speak that game. And that's not a normal first time I'm going on my first listing appointment. That's not for that type person. That is for top producers that you got to have those solutions in place and be able to articulate what do they mean for the consumer.
Yeah. Now, you had mentioned one time when we were talking, actually we were talking a little bit yesterday, and you had mentioned this before yesterday. What's the Centurion Lounge?
That's my passion right there. So the Centurion Lounge, we got a faux fireplace in there. It's for top producers. Well, defining top producers as that $75,000 to $100,000 range of commission or above. And so they get the one-on-one service from our specialty staff. They get to go into the Centurion Lounge. We do have alcohol in there. We've got wine. It's a great sitting area for consumers waiting on a closing. It's nice, comfortable furniture. We got a faux fireplace, 2 TVs, a whiteboard, and several different sitting areas that are totally pimped out. It's not like a desk sitting in there. It's a comfortable area that's quiet and for top producers. Kind of the coffee is for closers type thing.
So it's a separate room.
Yeah.
It's its own separate lounge. Now, I've got to come see this, okay? We're going to have we know what we need to do. We need to schedule a time, a few of us get together and have a mastermind meeting in your Centurion Lounge in Cummings, Georgia. Yes. I mean, I just got to hang out there.
It's Cumming, not Cummings.
Cumming, Georgia. So I've got to see it. But it's literally a separate room. And so there's other agents that might not be able to access that room. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So you got to have at least, it's invitation only. So we've got actual cards embossed with the people's names once they reach that production point, and they get their list of services that they get. We give them a nice folder, a nice little letter saying, welcome to the Centurion Lounge. Membership has its privileges. And we designed it because our agents, our top producers, I'd say, why don't you come into the office more? They said, well, I always get bombarded by people, which they don't mind helping, but it's like that, I can't get some of the work done. So I said, what if we created an environment just for you? And that's how we came up with it. I went to one of my top producers, a female, and I said, what would you want there? She said, I'd want frilly things. I'd like big chandeliers. I'd like fireplace. So I took that conversation. We went and designed that. And it really looks awesome.
So it's not just a place to sit down and have a glass of wine. There's some workspace in there also?
Workspace. Well, you can sit down. We've got an iPad in there for agents to grab and just tap into the network and stuff. We got a whiteboard in there that's electronic, so teams can go in there and have their meetings. Table that you can sit down with a consumer and write a contract at. So it is just for a quiet space to be able to go work and be comfortable in versus a stale office environment that everybody can go into.
Okay. So, one of the questions that I can imagine the audience is going to have here, and obviously they can't ask the question, so I'm responsible for asking questions that I anticipate they would have, is they're probably going to say, gosh, it probably costs a lot to do this stuff. And you even have some sort of staging. Before I ask the question, what about the staging scenario?
So we, that was a byproduct of a girl that was helping us with online leads last year. And her real passion was around designing. And she actually designed, since we were talking about the Centurion Lounge, she went in there and designed it out. And then she and my wife went and picked all the furniture out and decorated it. And it looks freaking awesome. That's really where her passion comes from. So we said, gosh, what if we kind of tapped into that and we found out an online solution better? But let's really serve the agents at a high level because, Greg, new agents come on board and they hear, well, you need to update your home, you need to do this, but they don't ever get the color palettes down. They're new to the business, right? Or even if they've been in it 3 years, they don't know really what the transition colors are. So what we're doing is we're putting up in the office what are the paint swatches, what are the granite selections, what are the hardwoods, carpet colors, all that kind of stuff. So they're seeing it every day when they're walking by it. And they're going to be able to help sell more homes as a result of walking in and go, wait a minute, this isn't the color palette I saw or I've been seeing in the office. Let me have my stager come over here and let's help you get your home in retail condition so we can get you that retail pricing. That's how the conversation is supposed to be enacted. My job is to help them extend those conversations and make it easier for them by offering these solutions that I know that they need, especially in today's market.
Yeah. So to go back to kind of what I was going to ask, and I know the audience is going to say, it's like, wow, if you're going to provide all this, how the heck do you make a profit, right? Because, I think there are teams and companies out there that are trying to provide a lot, and they're going in the hole. They're not making any money. And then there's those that are trying to provide as least as they can, and they're making probably a fairly good profit, but then they may have a lot of turnover. One of the things that I know about you, I don't think you have a lot of turnover. Only you could answer that, but I do know you're one of the top. I can't remember if you're number 6, 7, 8 in the country for all Century 21s. 7. Okay, so you're doing a wonderful business. I personally know that you're profitable because I personally know you beyond this podcast. But how are you making this all work? Like the staging, how the hell can you damn afford to have a staging office or whatnot in your operation?
So we're going to have a great relationship with these people and truly form a partnership. So the girl that's doing the staging for us, she's got her own business that goes outside of this office, but anything that's generated from this office, we're going to be working a 20% referral fee, basically, as opposed to her paying rent. So she won't pay rent. We're going to keep her overhead low, but we're going to work out a way that we can both win in the end. And again, it goes to if we can sell more homes, Greg, we're going to be more profitable. It's not the 20% we're going to be making off of that stuff. It's really about helping sell more homes. And that's what it's every single thing that we're doing. Is how can I generate more leads and how can I get more homes closed? That's where the revenue really comes from. But if I can partner in with people that get it and they do a great job at what they do, and I can bring them way more leads, if you will, through working within our ecosystem here, how can we create that good relationship together that makes sense to both? So you don't have to sit there and just go spend. And there's creative solutions that you can offer, and there's people willing to do this stuff. You just got to get outside the normal box and think of things differently.
Got it. So you got some strategic partnering. So the stager would be an example. Maybe she has a play, or he or she, that's the stager, has probably plays some sort of role of making sure that this section of your office is taken care of, made available to these agents and whatnot. And so you're maybe you're not zero costing because you have them paying you money, but they're funding some of the of these operations or these these departments or tools. They're kind of bringing that in, and the reason is because they get access into your office. So yes. Then they're able to build their business off of this business.
Right.
Okay.
So with vendors, with construction workers, GC general contractors, really with them, they don't have to come in here and spend anything to be coming into our meetings if they will give our clients 5 to 10% discount on the products and services that are used. And we will control 3 or 4 that we will offer to our agents that kind of test and get approved by us. But it's not about generating revenue from them. It's about helping our agents close more deals and get more things done to homes and having that as a unique selling proposition for them.
Yeah. So
that's packaging up all the way around.
Yeah. So I wrote down here, it seems like like you said it, what you're doing, because I think some people are building teams and brokerages and trying to add value, because they feel like if I add enough value or I wow them enough, I can keep them, I can retain them, they won't leave me. But what you said is you're building everything that you're doing. You're saying this, I will do this if there's a direct correlation between this and increasing their production, which means your company becomes more productive, right? And I wrote down increased production equals more money. And that more money is more profit and more money to invest back into your business. It seems like you are, do you have a formula that every dollar I make, I want to invest something back into my business? Because you are really investing back in your business. And I think in your production and the growth that you're experiencing, it's starting to show that there's a value in doing that. But is there a formula there, or is it your formula is an agent walks by and says, hey, we should have a new this. And you're like, I'll start thinking about that.
Well, it kind of is the latter of that, actually. A lot of our formula comes from, well, just like the online person that's now our stager. It's like we worked well together, and I knew she was the right person for the company. It just was in the wrong position. You know, so that book about having the right people on the bus with you and stuff like that, Good to Great or whatever it is. Anyway, we've got awesome people. That's what it starts with here. The staff, I've got 14 people on staff. They're phenomenal. They work together as a family. That's really the glue and everything that makes it all fly and work. I love coming up with different ideas. I'm a creative person. You and I've talked, I'm not a phone banger type. I'm about going and creating that overall experience, and how can we deliver that out there that's going to hopefully have our agents love it. And Greg, here's the deal. Not everybody likes everything that we put together, but I will tell you this. Most agents that come to us from other companies are surprised with what they get out of our brokerage, because most agents think all brokerages are the same. You will not have that experience coming through our office here. And my biggest compliment is when people come through here and they go, oh my God, this is so much different than what I've seen out there. It starts with our front door. We don't cram a lot of office. We have a very open foyer. We have a lot of glass. It's about, I want our agents to bring the consumer in here and be proud of what they've got to show, not just, we got this big box of an office. It's about a show all the way through every single.
So how is that helping you? Like, have you seen an increase in your retention, agent satisfaction, team satisfaction? Where have you shown that, okay, hey, this, you know, when you look back, sometimes I know I do this, and I'm sure we all do. Sometimes I make decisions and I go for it, and then it works out. And then I look back and I say, you know, this really worked out. But when I was making the decisions, I didn't really know. I had a hunch that this would be the right move, but I'm almost shocked when I look back and say, wow, I actually made the right decision without really knowing I was going to get blank out of it. Like, what would you say? What would you fill in? How would you fill in your blank on that? It's like, wow, I did this. I knew this is the direction I want to go, but what I really got out of it is blank.
That's a tough one. You know what the biggest thing that made the most awesome change for us in the company? It was, we had our original office, which was 5 minutes down the street from where we sit today. And I never knew how much that specific office was holding us back. So you go to Mike Ferry teaching, he says, upgrade everything, right? So literally 6 years ago was when we made the transition over to the office that we sit in today. And we doubled in agent count in a year and a half. That one went from 90 to 180 agents in a year and a half. And I realized, wow, this wouldn't have been able to be possible. Would we have done this at our old office? The answer is absolutely not. Yet I didn't know at that point in time how much that office was holding us back from growing. And that was an aha moment. I look back at that and go, wow, what a cool experience, because we didn't plan it. It just happened. I had somebody come in and say, I want to buy your office. And I said, okay, because they offered me a stupid amount. There was no planning to it. But I had a feeling that, okay, I'm being led down a path here. We're going to go ahead and go on with it. And just most people look at it and go, you're an idiot for doing that. That was the best damn thing that ever happened to us as a company. And so sometimes just kind of following your gut instinct and not necessarily having a specific plan, but kind of going, you know, we got this formula here. It's working. And let's go ahead and take a chance. So I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm just telling you the experience of Mike Ferry saying upgrade everything. Really kind of gets in the realm of how we ended up here today in the office that we're in. And we're actually expanding our next 1,400 square feet. So we'll be up to about 8,200 square feet shortly.
Wow, that's good. So for those listeners that are out there trying to build a team, or maybe company owners that are out there and they're kind of like, you know, in that mindset, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, everyone's recruiting my agents away. You know, it's so hard to make a profit in a brokerage, and, you know, agents aren't loyal. You know, we hear all these things out there, right? Like, before we get off, what is a little bit of Terry Swanson wisdom that you would want to share with anybody that might be experiencing, maybe having a tough time with team or brokerage building?
Well, you and I both know this. Any brokerage that's not succeeding or hasn't succeeded over the last 5-6 years, they got to look at themselves first, right? But be who you are. You are who you are. And if you're not going to be the recruiter, then go hire somebody that's going to recruit for you. If you're not going to be the leader that's going to go out there, then go find the one that's going to be what you need. You know, today people either need to be led by complete power and a path of going, this is what you're going to do, and I'm going to lead and hold you accountable, or they need a combination of that coupled with high energy and motivation and stuff. But you got to be delivering something of that. And if that's not you, that's okay. Just go out there and be the team leader or the owner of that office, and go find somebody to do what you can't do. I mean, that's as simple as it gets, because we all know the market's shifting, right? It's going to get more challenging. I want to be the one that people look to and go, damn, how are they doing it over there? I want to be the disruptor out there in this market and say, hey, you know what, let's go deliver that unbelievable experience. Hey, you know what, Greg, I'm not even worried about technology. You know why?
Why is that?
Because agents suck at technology. I can give an agent 2 buttons and say, go push those 2 buttons and you'll get a sale down the road. They're going to forget which ones to push. Was it one? That's the reality. So let's take ownership of our individual offices, be myopic about it, and go out there and go, what can I do? I've got 15 computers in my bullpen area, 15 full-fledged computers. That's so that agents can come in here and have a full-fledged computer. They can sit down for an hour, 2 hours, get what they need done, and then go on down the road and do some business. But that's the way that we're set up. I know every office is different. I love doing what we do. I'm not going to stop growing. I'm not going to stop looking for ways that I can get better and improve. And I can promise you this, you and I will see each other in about 6 months, and I'm going to have something else that we've added on that I'm very excited about. And that's the way I'm going to keep going. Because if I didn't, I'd get bored with this business.
Yeah, and I guarantee you will. I'm excited to hear the next thing that you come up with. And for the audience, please, one thing I want you to take away from this is I'm going to ask Terry who he is. Like, who are you, Terry, is the question. Don't answer yet, but you can start thinking about it. I am very clear that Terry Swanson is very clear at who he is for his agents. I feel like I'm fairly clear at who I am for my agents. So because I have the advantage of knowing the question that I'm going to ask, I'll answer it for myself. I'm their coach. Okay, that's who I am. I'm their coach. And that's the simplest way to describe who I am and what I stand for and who I stand for when it comes to my responsibilities of leading the company. And I think everybody who is an owner of a team or an owner of a company, they need to be able to clearly identify who they are and wear that proud. And then, like Terry said, all the things that you're not, go and align yourself with other people that can provide those things to your company. So Terry, I'm the coach of my company. Who are you for your company?
Well, that's a wide open question. I'm going to answer it 2 different ways. One, I am a leader, but I am the motivator is what I am. So
the motivator.
I will not let people come in here and leave better than they were before. And I've always said, I don't care where you were yesterday. What I care about is let's draw a line in the sand and let's get on that road to 1,000 miles by that single step. Because if you don't take that, you'll never get anywhere. But if you get on that road and that path to success, great things can happen. And I want to be a part in the journey of somebody that wants to get better an inch each and every single day. I'll take that.
Yeah, and I get it, Terry. I get it. I get you're the motivator because I'm around you, and I feel like people. I know I smiled, but the people listening to this, I bet you a lot of people when you said I'm the motivator, I bet you they connected with that, and I think a lot of people connect with I'm the coach, right? And my challenge to everybody listening: identify who you are and be the best you can be. Every single day. Terry, I'm sure you want to wake up. If not, then you need to wake up and say, hey, I got to find a way to motivate today. I got to wake up and say, I got to find a way to coach today and deliver value in the area that I know I'm very strong in. And if you want to build a big business, I think I challenge everybody to take that on. You got to identify who you are and then wear the badge, play the role as big as you can, and then go ahead and delegate all the other things that you're not as good at to somebody else, and there's a way you grow your company.
Absolutely.
Anything else that any parting thoughts for the audience?
No, I'm just going to say this. As the market changes, we don't know what the hell is going to happen in the future. But what I can say is, I'm more fired up today than I have been in years, probably the last 6 years when the market started turning up, because I know that at the end of the day, that it's going to come down to a skill set. And we've had a lot of people getting lucky. And I'm going to tell you this, what you said is very important. Know what you are, own it, be the best damn person in that space that you can, and build a phenomenal freaking team around you, and you're going to be fine. But if you don't, you get your ass kicked out there. Oh, sorry, Greg. I hope you don't mind me throwing one in there, but that's just the reality. So I am excited about that, and I know you are too.
That is awesome. Yeah. So Terry, if somebody, listen, if you're a real estate agent out there, and now that you've heard what Terry offers, if you're in that, Atlanta area, Cumming, Georgia area, you need to look this guy up. I suggest you just, if you're working for another company, just go say, hey, Terry, can I at least check out what you do? You might find, some hints and some tips on how you can make your business better, even if you're at a competing company. I know Terry would be welcome to have, would welcome you in. Terry, how can people reach you? What's the best, most efficient way for them to reach you if they have any questions or just want to pick your brain on something?
770-789-5846 is the best way to get in touch with me. It's either text or voice call.
Awesome. Period. Awesome. And if anybody wants to reach out to me, as always, you can reach out to Facebook Messenger or find me on Facebook Messenger. Send me a little message through there. I'm very, very good at responding, and I'll continue to be that way. And if you enjoy anything that we talked about today or previous episodes, if you could, subscribe so you get updates as to when the next episodes are coming out, especially this one. You're going to want to subscribe, but there's going to be some coming up in the next couple of weeks you're going to want to hear. And then, of course, leave us a review. We'd appreciate that too. Other than that, Terry, thank you so much. I enjoyed it, and I know we'll connect offline.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
appreciate
buddy.
it.